Hey there, groovy people! Today we're getting into one of the wildest chapters in American counterculture history. Ever heard of the electric Kool-Aid acid test? Buckle up because we're talking Ken Kesey and his merry pranksters, the real spark behind the hippie revolution. So picture this, it's the 1960s and Ken Kesey, the author of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, has just formed a wild crew of psychedelic enthusiasts known as the Merry Pranksters. Their mission? To explore the uncharted territories of the mind using LSD. But they didn't just sit around and trip, they took their show on the road in a colorfully painted school bus named Further. Neil Cassidy, the inspiration for Jack Kerouac's Dean Moriarty from the 1957 novel On the Road, was behind the wheel, driving this kaleidoscopic journey across America. They threw these mind-bending parties called acid tests, where Kool-Aid laced with LSD, flashing lights and groovy tunes combined to create an experience unlike any other. It all started at Kesey's home in La Honda, California, and it didn't take long for acid tests to spread like wildfire. Kesey and the pranksters weren't just about the drugs though. They aimed for something deeper, a concept they called intersubjectivity, where people could connect beyond their individual egos. They mingled with heavy hitters in the counterculture scene like the Hells Angels, the Grateful Dead, and poet Allen Ginsberg, bridging the gap from the Beat generation to the burgeoning hippie movement. But it wasn't all peace and love. Kesey's journey hit a major bump when he was arrested for marijuana possession. Instead of going quietly, he and the pranksters fled to Mexico, dodging the law and living on the run. Eventually, Kesey returned to the US, becoming a pop culture icon even though he was still wanted by the FBI. Ken Kesey's return was short-lived. He was eventually arrested and found guilty in court. In an attempt to show he'd moved past his wild ways, he proposed an acid test graduation, aiming to achieve intersubjectivity without the use of drugs. Unfortunately, the event fell through when other counterculture icons backed out. Kesey was sentenced to 5 months on a work farm in California, but his influence was already cemented. He relocated to Oregon with his family, continuing to work and write, and his legacy lived on. Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test isn't just a book, it's a window into the roots and growth of the hippie movement. So next time you think about the 60s and the counterculture explosion, remember Kesey and his pranksters? They weren't just along for the ride, they were driving the bus. Peace out.